As we look at the Iranian deal, which is paving the way for them to get nuclear weapons, I'm going to look historically, logically, and then prophetically at this. So we're finishing up the historic right now. In the beginning, or in the 1930s, before World War II began, because of the Versailles Treaty, the English or the French had duties, obligations to keep the Germans to their word. Germany agreed to very harsh terms of surrender. When the German troops marched into the Rhineland, the demilitarized zone, Hitler said, "This is all I want. This is all I want. I want peace, but we have to have breathing room. We have to have breathing space, living room, Lebensraum," I think was the word he used. And the French and the British kept looking at each other, and no one did anything. They didn't want to fight. They were so exhausted from World War I, so many dead, so many wounded, they just thought, no, we're not going to get in another fight. So let's leave it alone. Let's 30-mile strip. And Hitler's building this massive air fleet, calling it postal service, postal planes. Let me think, wait a minute. We just had a really bad war with Iraq, it really drained us, so we don't want to think about standing up to Iran. And now they're building a nuclear bomb, but we're saying, no, it's a postal fleet. It's not going to be really used for war. It's just like Germany just built airplanes so they could deliver the mail. The Iranians want nuclear weapons for energy and for medical purposes. None are as blind as the willfully blind. So anyway, we see that Germany was aggressive, lying, duplicitous. Hitler kept saying, all I want is peace. I want peace with our neighbors. And then they went and they had a coup. They took over Austria. They literally took it over. They murdered the head of the Austrian government, and they tried to have a coup at that point. It didn't work, but shortly thereafter, they rolled in with their army and they had a vote, and the high 90 percentile of people said, yes, we want to be a part of Germany. The Allies did nothing. Meanwhile, their U-boats are growing. They're building up a navy. Their air force is now getting bigger and close to parity with England, and then ultimately it passed England. And if you read the speeches of Churchill, if you look at what was going on from 34 to 38, then into 39, you see Adolf Hitler just browbeating and lying to, and cajoling it 1 minute and kind of bumping the next up to MacDonald, then Baldwin, then Chamberlain, Chamberlain the appeaser, peace in our times. And that whole time, there's one British statement, one British statesman who never stopped decrying what was going on. Winston Spencer Churchill. He kept saying, look, you don't have arms of this force without using them. You don't have these many hundreds of thousands of young men marching with broomsticks and shovels without filling their hands with guns. You don't have an air postal system that you just don't quickly retrofit with guns and with bombs. And Churchill held Baldwin's feet to the fire when Baldwin admitted that the reason he did not call the British people to either stop Germany's air superiority from getting there and to build up England's air defense was that there was an election coming up. And they didn't want to lose the election. It caused so much difficulty for Baldwin that he had to resign, and then Chamberlain became prime minister. It was so scandalous. But he admitted, we did this for politics, not for the safety of the English people. Well, friend, the biggest trading partner with Germany before World War II was the English. And the number one item that was sent from England to Germany, sold to the Germans, was scrap metal. Scrap metal. The British were very prosperous. They had tons and tons and tons of scrap metal, and Germany was an eager buyer. What do you think they were using that scrap metal for? Well, we now know. Airplanes, guns, U-boats, V-2 rockets. They stamped return to sender on their bombs. Maybe they put return to sender on the bottoms of their Stuka planes. They fought, the Germans took the Rhineland, they took Austria, then they went and they took the Sudetenland, the northern portion of Czechoslovakia, and at that point, Chamberlain said, we have peace in our times. They got together with Mussolini, Hitler, Chamberlain, and the leader of France, I can't remember his name, was Duvalier, forgive me, but they got together, and the Czechoslovakian representatives had to sit in the hall while their fate was decided for them. We're deciding the fate of Israel, Saudi Arabia. We're going to look at that when we come back from this break. But people, Chamberlain said, this is peace for our times. This is Obama saying we have a deal. It's going to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon. And what Winston Churchill said was, now war is assured. Now war is assured. And he was hated for saying it. He was belittled. He was mocked. And he was right. Who gathers these types of weapons and doesn't use them? Look back to the dawn of time. Think historically of a time when a nation amassed the ability to make and then did make any type of weaponry and then did not use them. Right up until the present day. We created nuclear bombs and we used them. Okay? In Japan at the end of World War II. They will get a bomb as a result of this deal. Just look at history, look at the parallels of history, and then when they feel that the time is right, they're going to use it.